right. So now we're going to now we've sort of talked about what Shintoism is, or at least the three main features of the kami, matsuri, the festivals, and the jinju, the jinja, the shrines. We're going to kind of go through each one of those in a little more specifics here. So the kami, Shinto deities, if you will, right? Represent divine energy of natural forces, right? So anything you could possibly think of has some relation to it within this Shinto framework. Right? They say there's maybe over 8 million kami around. So I mean, anything and anything you could think of has an association to it. Some are aniconic, which means they don't have a form at all, like a tree or water or stone. We'll look at that a little bit later. Some are anthropomorphic, means they've taken on this human form. For example, like Inari. We've talked a lot about the Fushimi Inari Shrine. So in Kyoto, in the part of Kyoto called Fushimi, there's a shrine to Inari. This is her here. She is usually the kami of rice, so you can see how important that is in food. She has a lot of representations. I think she's also the kami of swordsmithing. So if you look up any of these kamis, you'll see all their sort of relations there. She also has a sort of a vehicle, somebody who kind of accompanies Inari, and this is the fox. So if you're in it, it's an Inari shrine if you see foxes. So that's an Inari shrine. So kami, I mean, Inari has all sorts of different stories associated with her. So I mean, she's very, very important. I mean, and the association with rice obviously is quite important there. So, so Inari and the fox, the kitsune, the fox. So that's Inari shrine and kami. So she's a very important one. That is very, very, very famous. Another one is Hachiman, the kami of war. There's many important sort of shrines to Hachiman. One of the important ones, one of the most sort of famous ones, is one is Kamakura, which is sort of south of Tokyo, because he became the main kami of the Minamoto clan. We'll get about this when we get back into some other history of Japan. But after the Heian period, the first sort of shogunate was formed. They established their capital in Kamakura, and they were the Minamoto. So they attached, because they just won this big war, they really sort of became very attached to Hachiman here. So this is in Kamakura. There's this famous Hachiman shrine there. Another one is in Usa, Jingu, the Oita, Japan. Kyushu is another major Hachiman shrine as well. So Hachiman is very popular. This is a Minamoto. This is Hachiman here. This is a Minamoto of the Minamoto clan who became sort of head of the clan, and then praised Hachiman for success in war. Right? Again, we sort of talked about this guy as well. This is the kami Tenjin of learning, who is based after a real human being, Sugawara no Michizane, who was a minister of the Heian court. He was a poet. He was a scholar. He was a Japanese ambassador to China. He was very, very successful, very, very famous. But he kind of went out of favor of the later. There was sort of a political interplay at the imperial Heian court. We'll talk about that all a little bit later. So he ended up being exiled by the Fujiwaras. He sided with the emperor. He got undercut, so the Fujiwaras exiled him to Kyushu, Daizaifu, Kyushu, and this is where his main shrine is today. So if you have a big test coming up, you want to go to a Tenjin shrine, and if you can make it to the main one here in Kyushu, that's great. But there's Tenjin shrines all over Japan too that you could visit as well. So some of these kami there. This is a great one. This is Raijin, kami, the kami of lightning and thunder. Here you can see, a nice personification of lightning and thunder, storms, all of that probably related with Susanoo in some way or shape or another. So yeah, these divine natural energy sources and forces. Okay. Some of the aniconic ones that we kind of mentioned, right? So the no form. So in each shrine, you'll have these shinboku, these trees. And these trees are kind of where kami reside. But then some main trees, some big trees are actually kami themselves. You can actually worship the trees within these sort of sacred sites. Again, when we get to shrines, you'll see most shrines have a garden around, and a lot of shrines will have a major tree within the shrine complex itself, which is also an object to be venerated, right? Because it's where Kami lives, but it itself is sacred. And then this is a very famous one. This is Myoto Iwa. This is the married couple rock. So these rocks are right near Ise, so you can go along. So these are just rocks, but they're they're also they're aniconic. People would worship them for success in marriage, right? So if you go down there, that's a good thing to go if you're going to get married. And this rope connects the two there. So it can be any. It doesn't have to be tree, water, stone, or Mount Fuji, right? A mountain. Mountains can be kami as well. So they have these natural forces within them. And if you're ever in Japan, you'll see these. You can go to a lot of these shrines have. You know, you can just walk in. They're very open for people to come in and hang out and see. And you can read about who it's for and take a little offering. So these are some of the main kami of Japan.